Hey guys, Omerko here, self-taught web developer. In today's video, we will continue our journey through Angular Essentials series, and today we will take a look into HTTP. We should see what is HTTP protocol, we should also see what is HTTP module in Angular, how to use it, and also how to get some particular data. So without further introduction, let's jump into our video. First of all, let's see what is HTTP protocol. HTTP protocol, or in other words, the Hypertext Transfer Protocol, is an application layer protocol for distribution, collaborative hypermedia information systems. And I know that sounds a bit confusing, right? So let me clarify this for you. HTTP protocol, well, we as developers use HTTP protocol to contact some particular database, our database, or our backend. In those would also come our APIs that we usually hold on our backend, or some third-party API that we are using. Through HTTP protocol, we will be able to run different methods like get particular data, or post some particular data to save it in particular database, or maybe update some particular data with put or patch methods, and even delete that data. In Angular, HTTP protocol works in similar way, but the HTTP itself has its own module. In Angular, we have HTTP client module that we could use, and on that we also have HTTP client that will give us option to basically use all of those methods that we need, also to set and send different parameters that we wish, and also to set and send particular headers that we need. Before we start working with our code, I will first go into app and app component TypeScript and remove all the data here that I have. Well, all the, for example, this get data method and also user and channel name properties that I had. Here in my component, I could now remove this h3 and also this input and output that I used here. Also, this means that I must go into my top bar component, and here I will remove, well, all of my content here. So I will just keep my first Angular project title right here, and in the top bar I will remove this method for submit data, and also I will remove input and output from here, which should also be removed from the top right here where those were imported from Angular/core. Now let me close all of these, and let's jump into, for example, app and app module TypeScript file. The reason why we are here, well, HTTP itself is a separate module in Angular, and it is immediately imported in our Angular project once we, well, served our application, once we created our application. To use such a module, we must import it in the module that we wish to use it. And I will import it here in my app module, because this is, well, main root of my application. So in the imports array, just after my forms module, I will put comma and use HTTP client module. So this here should also be imported. Let me import it here at the top. So import HTTP client module from, and I should use at Angular/common/HTTP. By this, we successfully imported the module inside of our app. Now, if we wish to use some module, well, we could just use it in some particular file that we wish. And mostly we will use HTTP module in our service files. And here I do have my data service file. Here, well, this is the place where I will use my HTTP module. First of all, let's import our module in our data.service file. So here in my constructor, I will here set the private property, and I will set it equal to HTTP. It will be named HTTP, and the type of it will be HTTP client. Now you see that HTTP client should also be imported from at Angular/common/HTTP. Now with this here, we are able to use different methods from Angular HTTP module. Those methods would mostly be to create something with the post method, to get some data with the get method, to maybe update some data with put or patch methods, and also to delete some particular data with delete method. Next to that, HTTP module in Angular is able to set the different params, query params, and even headers. Now I will quickly jump into JSON placeholder website, And on this website, if we scroll down a bit, we could see this particular request here. If I run this script, it will return some particular data to me. And this will be the get method that we will run through HTTP module right now. So this here is just the JSON sample data that we could use to test our backend. So let's use this one here. Now in my data service, here I will have get to do method. This method will return something for me. It should return, well, I should first contact my HTTP module with this.http, which will contact my HTTP class here that I imported. And on this HTTP, you can see different methods that we could use. One of those methods, well, this first one is called get. I will use the get method to get, well, data from JSON placeholder website that we just saw. So in this get method, you can see that this get method expects some URL string here and also could use some options like headers and or for example a particular body and so on. So here in a get method we should at least use the URL that we need. To get that URL I will just come to, well, go back to JSON placeholder, and here I will copy entire URL from here. Coming back to my data.service, I will paste my URL right here, but that must be in single quotes. And now if we dispatch this method, this get method, to this particular URL, this URL, this third-party API, will return some data to us. To do this in such a way, I will save my data service and go into my app component.typescript file. Here in my app component, I wish to get that to do once I load my component here on my ng-on init. So first of all, let's make sure that we imported our data service. Here in my constructor, I will use private, and I will set the property with name of data service, and I will set the type to be equal to data service, which should be imported from my data service file. Now in my ng-on init, I will be able to use this data service. So this data service, and on it I have this get to do method. I will use that one, and now with this we are not saying much. But we do have one option here that we could use to, well, to get into this method and get particular data. If I use that here, you can see here subscribe method. If we subscribe to this get to do from my data service, we will be able to get inside and get some response, which will be essentially the type of any, and this response will hold some data. Let's, for example, for now just log this data. So console.log data, response. Also, this subscribe doesn't need to give us back the response, but could give us back the error. So this error will be the type of any for now, and here I will set the arrow method, and I will use console.log, and I will set error occurred, error. So we could see the whole error if the error exists. This subscribe is possible because on our get to do we are returning the data from get method on our HTTP client module, and the get method essentially will return some observable data to us. The observables, well, I will talk more about those in my next video, but for now what you should know at least is those are basically the wrappers for our data, and those are wrapping whatever we are getting from this method here, and because of that we are able to subscribe to that wrapper, well, that observable, and basically get inside and get some particular data, or if the error occurred, then get the error back. Now to check this, let me refresh my page and go to inspect console. In my console we do see here the log of data, and next to it there is an object. If I open up that object, then we can see completed as a false, ID as a 1, title, well, whatever the title is, and the user ID as a 1. So some particular data from our JSON placeholder website, we were able with the get method of HTTP module to get that data inside of our application, and now we are able to use that data right here. So for example, here in my app component now, I will be able to create the to do property and set the type of it to be any. Here where I get my response, my data, now instead of logging this data, I will remove this log and use this.todo to be equal to the response, well, whatever I get from this getToDo method. Now in my app component HTML file, I will be able to, for example, create the h3 as a title and set here to do that and title as example, because the to do itself holds some title. In any case, if this is if there is the error, I will put the question mark here to make sure that first of all the to do will exist, and if it exists then it will show this title. If it doesn't, it won't show anything right here. If we would now go back to our, well, browser, we can see our title of our to-do rendered on a screen, which means that our get method worked perfectly. So yes, we talked a bit about HTTP protocol, HTTP particular module in Angular. We also saw how to inject that module in our application, how to also inject it in our service, our data service. We also talked about different methods that it could use. Also I showed you one method, which was the get method. We were able to get some particular data. We were also able to get that data once we loaded our app on our component, to save that data to our property, and at the end to show that data on our screen. So this here would be at least the basic introduction to HTTP module itself. There are many other methods that we could use, like post, put, patch, delete, and also there are many other things that we could do with HTTP protocol here, well, HTTP module, particularly in Angular. But this series is Angular Essentials series, so I won't go deeper in this HTTP module. But if you wish to do that, make sure to visit angular.io/guide/HTTP, and you will be here on this screen, where you will be able to see some, well, first of all, the introduction of the module, and if you continue to scroll down, there is a lot of more content regarding this called module, obviously, because the module itself could be, well, its own course, basically. But yeah, thank you all for watching. If you like what you saw, please click like and subscribe, as I'm posting new content weekly on this channel. Thank you once again, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye.